When we come back, hands of faith are clasped from every walk of life to affirm and celebrate our newest temples around the world.
I'd like to announce 4 new temples, which in coming months and years will be built in the following locations.
President Thomas S. Monson announcing to a worldwide audience during General Conference in April that the church will build 4 new temples around the globe. Crossing the Atlantic, we begin on the continent of Africa and to the site of what will be the Harar, Zimbabwe Temple. Almost 28,000 Latter-day Saints make their home in Zimbabwe, a nation of more than 14 million people. This will be the 7th temple to be built in Africa and the 1st in Zimbabwe. Back to the Western Hemisphere and to the coming site of the Quito, Ecuador Temple. Over 250,000 members of the church reside in Ecuador. The temple in Quito will be the 2nd in the nation, after its first in Guayaquil. In neighboring Peru, Lima will have a 2nd temple built in this capital city. There are more than 500,000 Latter-day Saints living in the country. The Lima, Peru, Los Olivos Temple is anticipated to be located in the northern section of the city.
And moving to the site of what will be the Belém, Brazil Temple, this will be the 9th temple of the church in Brazil, home to 1.3 million Latter-day Saints in a country of 205 million people. Heading to the Rockies of North America to the Fort Collins, Colorado Temple. A public open house was held in August and September for a host of Colorado residents and other guests, both Latter-day Saints and friends of the church, along with local media. More than 20,000 people toured the interior of the temple in Fort Collins during the 3-week open house, a standard practice of the church worldwide whenever a new temple is completed and before it's formally dedicated. The Fort Collins, Colorado Temple will be dedicated in 3 sessions the 16th of October.
Across the Pacific Ocean to the island of Japan, the Sapporo, Japan Temple was dedicated on Sunday, August 21st. President Russell M. Nelson and Elder Gary E. Stevenson, both of the 12, took part in the cornerstone ceremony, which is one of the highlights of a temple dedication. The night before the dedication, Latter-day Saints and their friends gathered for the traditional cultural event held at a nearby auditorium, highlighting Japan's rich history and culture and the growth of the church in Japan. The Sapporo Japan Temple occupies some 9 acres of grounds that feature fountains, ponds, and gardens, so fitting for its Japanese setting. The grounds are open to the public in all 4 seasons for people to stroll about the beautiful walking paths.
From the Far East, across the Pacific, and all the way over the Atlantic to Europe and to the Freiburg, Germany Temple, President Dieter F. Uchtdorf conducted rededication sessions of the temple on September 4th. This is the temple's 2nd renovation after previous renovations and expansion were completed in 2002. Most recently, the temple had been undergoing a new round of renovations for more than a year. The Freiburg Temple was originally dedicated in 1985. It was the first temple to be built on German soil. The temple is located in the northwest section of historic Freiburg, a pastoral setting in modern times, and with its neighboring city that has much of the old world feel of an earlier era in Germany. Heading to North America and near the Rocky Mountains of the West, the dedication of the Meridian, Idaho Temple is still more than a year away, but it has a beautiful finishing touch already. The statue of the Angel Moroni was installed atop its domed center July 20th, 1 year to the day after Elder David A. Bednar of the 12 led groundbreaking ceremonies. The city is adjacent to Boise's western suburbs. When dedicated, the Meridian, Idaho Temple will be the 5th operating temple in that state.
And now to the northeastern United States, America's 5th largest metropolis and the birthplace of the nation itself. Citizens of Philadelphia now have a Latter-day Saint temple to add to the storied history of their revered city, also known as the City of Brotherly Love. Its location on Vine Street, just north of downtown, is adjacent to another house of worship, Cathedral Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul, and less than 2 miles from Independence Hall, the historic location of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, which is depicted in a painting that graces the main lobby of the temple. Inside the temple, other historic references in painting also recall the early days of the church, like the baptism of the prophet Joseph Smith in the Susquehanna River in Harmony, Pennsylvania, which overlooks the temple's baptismal font during the period when Joseph translated the Book of Mormon. It's the first LDS temple built in Pennsylvania, and people were ready to celebrate in the traditional cultural event at the city's Liacouras Center.
In this nation under God.
Today, millions of people benefit from the protection of religious freedom.
The following day, Henry B. Eyring of the First Presidency led 3 dedicatory sessions of the temple. But first, greeting all who came to witness the public ceremony of securing the cornerstone that morning.
To me, this is especially significant that the Lord would have granted this house to you wonderful people.